Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. We really appreciate you being here. Let's start with just, you were there, being in the room yesterday for all of this. What was it like? And Republicans say they're going to bring this vote again. Do you think this just ends up with what they wanted, which is the impeachment of the Homeland Security Secretary?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. No, look, this continues the chaos of the 118th Congress, which so far, for its historical purposes, has expelled the member and removed the Speaker of the House, which hadn't been tried in over 100 years and actually had never been accomplished. In this vote, they're trying to remove a cabinet secretary, which hasn't happened in 150 years and in fact failed. I mean, look, they should always believe that Democrats are going to have all of their members. This idea that, oh, they thought we were down one so they could get it passed, that's amateur hour, okay? They should always believe that every Democrat is going to be in the room and they should plan for those contingencies, but they didn't. And so now it's an embarrassment. Look, there were a couple of Republicans there that still believe in the Constitution and the fact that you have to have a high crime and misdemeanor. They may not like Secretary Mayorkas. They even think he might have been doing a bad job. But that is not a rationale for impeachment. We might recall, by the way, former President Trump hated like half of his cabinet secretaries. Rex Tillerson was dumb as rocks. He, his attorney general, Jeff Sessions, he hated. No one was talking about impeaching them because the president didn't like them or Congress didn't like them and the American people didn't like them. So, this unfortunately just continues the chaos of the 118th Congress.
Some of those Republicans you're talking about are folks like Mike Gallagher, right, who wrote about why he voted against this impeachment in the Wall Street Journal this morning. And he writes, impeachment not only would fail to resolve Mr. Biden's border crisis, but would also set a dangerous precedent that would be used against future Republican administrations. I wonder what you thought when you read that and when you listened and saw his vote yesterday.
No, that's exactly right. We are continuing to break the place. I mean, it just devolves every single solitary day. A new norm falls. And then, yes, it's going to be repeated, right? We see this in Washington, right? Democrats got rid of the filibuster on federal judges. Republicans got rid of the filibuster on Supreme Court judges. Democrats censure a member. Republicans censure 3 members. They're going to go and impeach Mayorkas. You can guarantee that there'll be 2 or 3 cabinet secretaries impeached next time. And no one is going to want to be a cabinet secretary if this idea is you can be impeached because the opposite party doesn't like you or think you're doing a bad job. That does not rise to the level of impeachment that is enumerated specifically in the Constitution. And so, no, I think those 3 Republicans got it right.
Let me ask you more broadly about the border crisis, because you told Jake Tapper last week that Republicans, quote, have been highlighting the border for a long time, and you went on to say, and we, Democrats, were late. You are one of 14 Democrats who voted for a Republican resolution that denounced Biden's, quote, open door policies. How much blame do you think Democrats right now deserve for this crisis?
Well, look, that resolution, doesn't mean anything. I was voting for it because I was trying to show my colleagues across the aisle that I'm serious about trying to secure the border.
Well, what do you mean?
I think the American people should be told the truth.
This is the resolution, just denouncing the Biden administration's open border policies, condemning national security and public safety crisis along the southwest border, and urging President Biden to end his administration's open border policies. You're saying it doesn't mean anything, but did you agree with that?
No, but what I'm saying is it's not a bill. It's not like it becomes a law. It's a resolution. It's a resolution. It's a messaging tool. And so that Republicans were using it as a messaging tool, which is really what all they've done this 118th Congress. And so what I wanted to say is, listen, I agree that we need to secure our border. There are Democrats that agree that we should secure our border, and there are Democrats who think that there is a crisis at the border. And so at the end of the day, what I was saying to Jake Tapper is both things are true here. And the American people understand this and know this, which is, look, Republicans have been yelling about the border, okay, and Democrats were slow to respond. But now that we're at the table and the most conservative border bill comes forward out of the Senate. In fact, the Republicans said, we're not going to do Ukraine or Israel if we don't secure our border. So we said, okay, put it all together. This is what they wanted. This is their border bill. The most conservative border bill comes forward in a generation, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, my God, well, we can't actually fix the situation because Donald Trump needs a crisis at the border for his campaign. And so that is also true now, that they're walking away from fixing the border, that they gin this up, and now they're showing the American people that they're not serious about fixing it. They want the crisis to continue so that they could use it in the next election.
Congressman, just before we move on, just two points of fact. I hear you. There are a number of Republican senators who were for this, but also the fact that it is President Biden who put forth combining them in his supplemental. Let me talk about the standalone Israel aid package that the House has put forth. President Biden said he would veto it. And the way the White House explains that is basically saying, look, we put something forward, we bipartisanly negotiated, we want it tied together. And then the White House says this bill is another cynical political maneuver. But you voted for it. So I wonder what you make of the president's veto threat.
Well, look, the president has to do what he feels is right. I serve in the House. I have to do what I feel is right. And based on the fact that this is the least productive Congress in 30 years, the most chaotic Congress in 30 years, I can't plan for this beautiful bill that might come to the House. I have to vote on what's in front of me. And so what's in front of me is an Israel aid package. Now, I support Ukraine, and I support securing our border, and I support doing humanitarian aid for the Palestinians in Gaza. So I support the big bill that the president is pushing, and I hope we eventually get there. But with everything dying, and right now my colleagues across the aisle showing the world that they don't want to stand with Ukraine and giving Putin a win by struggling to pass this Ukraine aid, I don't want to send a message to the other part of the world in the Middle East that we're walking away from Israel while the United States right now is fighting Iranian proxies in the region because they're killing American citizens. And so, that's why I supported the bill for Israel. Israel right now is in the middle of negotiating, getting 100+ hostages back in exchange for a prolonged ceasefire. We need to stand by our #1 ally in the Middle East, and that's why I voted for it. And if they bring it back under rules, this was under suspension, as you know. If they bring it back under rules, it would have passed the House because it wouldn't have needed 2/3.
Okay, Congressman Jared Moskowitz, thank you. And we're going to get right to that breaking news that you're referencing there. Appreciate your time this morning.